Good morning. Sorry I'm a bit late, but I hope you waited in case you wanted to join live this morning for another guided Thai massage practice. Thank you so much for the lovely resonance from last week, and as I still have a friend staying here for one more day, I thought it would be a great opportunity to share another one. So I want to look at the heart chakra in particular today. So we'll be incoming. We'll start sitting, taking care of kind of upper body, thorax, shoulders and neck, and then come to lie down, and we'll do quite a little bit of kind of whole thorax, chest cavity, lungs, all related, and then we'll finish with like it's kind of a bit like a shamanic heart meditation thing that really we don't need to do so much technically, physically. I'll just guide that verbally. So the heart chakra is the fourth chakra, obviously sitting right at the heart in the center of the chest. The kind of the qualities and the issues around the heart chakra, obviously love, loving kindness, compassion, forgiveness, acceptance. So it also has a lot to do with the way that we relate to the world around us and to others that cross our paths in some way or another. The ability to grieve as well. So in Chinese medicine also the heart area, chest area is also the lungs, and the lungs are also about grief. The ability to give and receive. Quite a lot of us who work as a therapist or body worker, or as a teacher, we are very good giving and maybe not always so good receiving. That's why we've become teachers and therapists. But we all know how important that is. So that's also in this area. I won't go on for too long hours. I mean, there's so much around each chakra, but just to give a little bit, to set the tone in a way. Grief, I already mentioned, that's kind of this in a way like called the demon of the heart chakra. But when it's in balance, there's a sense of peacefulness and compassion and empathy and support, and also general health. And when this area is kind of a little bit depleted and deficient in energy, I often find people withdrawing, not really allowing to be loved, maybe fearful or blaming others, very defensive, judgmental. So it really is a strong center in the way that we relate to our environment and to the world around us. And I don't know, I just have a feeling maybe also a center that's definitely been challenged quite a bit in the last year and a half around the pandemic. So yeah, really powerful one to work with, but also an area where we can have some fun in terms of techniques and moves and stuff that I can show you. Again, I might need to improvise here a little bit in terms of how you can best see what I'm doing, and I might ask Ben to shuffle about and all of that, which I haven't quite worked out. Didn't rehearse this or anything, nor again did I really plan the full sequence, so it's also going to come a little bit from what I'm picking up. So if you do want to practice along and have a partner, then get ready. We're going to start sitting. Make sure they sit really comfortably. So you might want to prop them up on a cushion or offer them support for their knees, or I don't know, how are you sitting? Okay, there's a cushion if you need And we take a moment to arrive ourselves. So I'm just coming to sit behind you with still giving a little bit of space and finding my own heart, my own center, on my own axis. It's really, as always, important that we stay on our own axis and our receiver stays on theirs. Be a deep and profound connection that's practiced together. And still we all stay in our true own being. There's no jumping into the soup and getting all muddled up. So find your ground, find your earth, find the sky above you. And that might help you to give you that sense of your own axis coming into your center. And that axis does run through your heart. That center of compassion, empathy, loving kindness. So we're setting those qualities as our intention for today's practice. And then we can invite our receiver into our awareness. And we can ask permission. And then we can do our first connection. So it could be a really gentle touch just on the shoulders, for example, as a way of saying, I'm here I am, and I don't really have to do anything here. There's no pressure, no manipulation, simply saying hello. And we all know how profound these simple connection touches can be. We could probably just spend an hour doing this and be very healing. And because it is actually really nice, we start with a basic massage here around the shoulders, small or larger, depending on what you're picking up here, but definitely slow, big circles with the thumbs. I've got a little bit of counter pressure here through the fingers at the top of the shoulder. Having a little check-in how this whole area is doing. And then something that's really soothing and comforting is to squeeze a little bit down the arms. So we're also giving a bit of a, initial sense of it's all good, we're safe here. The heart center is vulnerable, so we really want to stay in that safe space. I might ask you to turn a little bit this way. Mm-hmm. Not sure if this is the right direction. We'll figure this out. Maybe, I don't know. I'm going to come here to the side, and I've got one foot coming round a little bit in front. I'm going to place an arm on the thigh and then ask the person to rest their head on their arm. And what I find usually depends a little bit on body proportions, but also kind of level of comfort that they might need, is to possibly place a cushion under the arm or between the arm and the head, or somewhere for them to be comfortable here. Is that okay? Mm-hmm. And so here we can work beautifully that top area of the shoulder. And we do that with our forearm. The other hand can very lightly support the head here, and then I sink and roll. And the amount of pressure, of course, that you can give here is going to depend a little bit on body proportions. So for me, Ben is quite tall and my pressure is not going to be quite as strong, but I'm really connecting from my hara. So when we come especially into these vulnerable areas, we really want to connect to the hara. We are the mountain here. And as long as we stay and we really connect to being the mountain, we're also creating that safe space and we're not jumping into the soup. But it's from the hara that I can lean my weight into my arm, soft hand, rolling the arm out. So connect, same principle, we've done this rolling of the arm many times, those of you study with me. Connect, shifting the weight from the hara, rolling the arm out, and release. 4 steps. What I can do here is actually walk a little bit down the shoulder, or the back here, even where I can reach a little bit better from my height. And really nice combinations if we ask for the other arm, and wrapping the arms kind of around, and then the head finds a space. I'm hugging this very lightly and supporting it here with my hand. The way they place their head, they can just decide that for themselves. And my other hand here is on the scapula. And then I'm going to push away and I lean into that with my lunge. So I'm moving to this knee and then going round in a circle. So I push away and go round towards me. I push away here with the hand on the scapula and come round. Tack, tack, tack. Great. And then that hand here on the back can move. I'm kind of hugging him in quite a bit. So I've got him secure, and then we can move. And I can massage around the back here. Push and turn. Good. Again, depends a little bit on that flexibility, on your body proportions. You could play with this a little bit. You could even bring them into a little bit of a forward fold and sink into the back here. Work with a little bit of pressure. A little bit of micro movement. So I'm going in with the forearm. Or we can also come here under the arm, area we usually don't really get to work so much. So here I'm circling again and pulling up towards me. Pulling. And then from here, bringing that to a slow hold and bringing them back into the center. And whilst I'm here, I might as well add, we did this last week, have a little sign, so I'm going to ask for your hands to come behind the head. I'm sitting kind of 90 degrees behind him, and then inviting him over my thigh. I'm on my toes tucked. I can hug the arm. It's leaning against me on the microphone, sorry. And then a gentle stretch. Well, it can be quite strong actually, but I'm moving very gently, so very soft lengthening here. I can slowly bring them back. And this position, assisted twist. I'm really letting him do this almost by himself. I'm giving just a suggestion here. And releasing the arms. And then maybe you could just turn this way a little bit. I'll do it from this perspective. So I've got my foot coming in front of the knee. That's the main thing here. And then I've got my back turned to you a little bit now, but maybe it's good to see it from the side. The cushion and arm. And then the head comes to rest. And then I can work that open shoulder here with my forearm. Connect from my hara, sink, and roll, and release. Connect, sink, roll, and release. And every time you can find a slightly different position where you want to work. I can even go down a little bit to the back here. Working the back of the shoulder. I ask for the other arm. And I'll wrap that around. They can find a place for their head. I'm wrapping here, coming from above, my hand around the shoulder. I don't have to grab here a lot. It's really just to take him with me. The other hand comes on the scapula and I push that away. So I'm just leaning forwards and then going round in a circle this way. Tack. Every time I go round, I push with that hand on the scapula. And it's like I'm pushing away from the spine, creating some space here. And then that hand can travel down the back as well. Going all along the spine, the side of the spine. Those strong muscles often carry tension. And again, it depends a little bit again on body proportions and the flexibility. I can sort of lean over and bring into a forward fold a little bit more. So I've got access to lean and go in with my forearm. And still do a little bit of movement there. So this way we can go into the lower back as well. And then nice here is to come round to the side of the ribs and under the arm, into the armpit literally, and circling and pulling towards me, and towards me, and towards me, and towards me. Bring that back to the center and back into their axis. And then whilst I'm here, with both toes tucked under, but this knee is up in the air. So this thigh is giving a parallel platform. Arms behind the head. And then they can come rest over the thigh into a side bend. I'm hugging him here. He's leaning back against me. And then we can ever so slightly go in more, elongating. A couple of times. Coming back. And a little, kind of almost a twist that they do by themselves. I'm just suggesting. And releasing this for a moment. Coming back. So something I really quite like, it's quite soft as a movement, is to work a little bit around the neck. And I'm placing my forearm into the side of the neck as a little barrier. And then tilting the head into the arms. So I'm kind of like bringing the neck into a little side bend. You can come a little bit more round. Very soft, gentle. And on the other side as well. So placing the arm just to the side to create a barrier. And then gently moving the head over the arm. So the neck has to round over the arm. I'm not really pressing. I'm just giving a little bit of resistance with that arm. That's creating the barrier here. So I'm bringing the neck into the side bend that it has available. And you could even roll the head with that a little bit, because of course we're also working a little bit the muscles here in the neck. Make sure that hand on the head stays really soft. There's no tension. Each time the arm can come at a slightly different angle. I'm going to come up to standing for a moment, so I might just pop out of the screen and ask Ben once more to take the hands behind the head. And then I come to stand along the spine with the outside of my leg. It's right on the spine. With the other foot, I step a little bit back. I need to have a little bit of a twist here as I'm going to reach around and get around the arms. I don't need to come under the arms, just in front of the arms is fine. And then I keep my supporting leg on the spine straight, shifting my weight into my back leg, bending that back knee, which means I'm taking him right back over my leg. And then my arms are pulling back a little bit. So I'm not pulling up to the ceiling. I'm using my triceps, pushing backwards behind me. So the front of the chest opens here. And it's nice with this kind of leaning back and giving them that support. And then thinking about kind of chest and all of that area, like the classic back walk, can't be missed out. So I'm going to sit behind, I can bend forward hands, and we can go wrist to rest. Good. And then we place the feet on the back. So you have already done this in the basic training. We push a little bit through the feet and lean back. And you want to try and do that in really equal measure. You can agree a little signal with your receiver that they give you a little tap when too much. So here's the main tip for me in my mind is that we don't sit too far away, otherwise we kind of tend to lose the control. And then if you wanted to, you can just repeat, or you can actually do some walking. So you don't lean back quite so much, but you create reciprocal tension. So I've got a little bit of tension on here, and then I can begin to walk my feet and have maybe a diagonal stretch or a little bit of movement here, or could even bring them into a forward fold, sending them away. So you can actually play a little bit here, and to bring a little bit more playfulness into your sequence when you come to the heart space. I think that's also really quite good. Have a little bit of that sense of letting go and trusting, feeling, but in a safe space, of course, always. But with that, we can bring a little bit of lightness also into the whole experience. Good. And then we can invite them into a little bit of a forward fold here. And of course, if they're not quite so flexible, then prop them up on a bolster or just have them supported by the hands. And something I really like is coming here with my forearms together, crossing over the spine in a diagonal, and then giving some weight down and sliding my arms out to opposite hip and shoulder. So with the forward fold, of course, and with this, we're working the whole of the back. In general, I always try to make sure the whole of the back has got a little bit of attention in the treatment, so the spine is free as your central axis. Free spine, kind of one thing to tick off in every treatment. And of course, with the forward fold here, we're also coming into the hips and the pelvis, and we've got the second chakra with that at play a little bit, which is definitely playing together with that fourth chakra. I won't go into too much detail there, but I'll just give a little bit of context as to why I've chosen some of these moves. Changing sides, going the other side as well. Last one. And another classic that maybe sometimes we don't always include because it's not so relaxing, it's more invigorating, but great for that whole shoulder, chest, lung, heart area is some clapping. So elbows wide, and there you go. You're going to come and lie down in a moment and come really quiet. Well, not quite initially, but in the end, we go really quiet and go into the air element and really soft. And so balancing the elements a little bit here, bringing a little bit more fire, and in a moment or so when we come to lie down, a bit of water. This will be good. And just brushing that off to the earth. Always, earth to me, it's kind of like my baseline element. You always want to stay grounded, no matter what other element we bring in. That's kind of just my take. Before I come to lie down, I'm just going to come to sit here by the side. And we finish the sitting sequence with one hand behind the heart, and the upper back, and one hand on the chest in front. You just simply take a moment to connect, a quiet moment after all of that action here. Sitting is quite invigorating. So before we transition, we find a moment of stillness, a moment for integration, a moment for things to settle. Taking a breath. A moment to notice. And then from here we can ask our receiver to come and lie down. Make sure that they are comfortable and warm in the position that they have chosen. You're good. Okay. And so I'm going to come and sit here by the side of the upper body, and we'll do a little sequence here for the chest and respiratory system, as the lungs are also related. Freeing up the diaphragm as well, which sits obviously below the heart, and all of the shoulder girdle, chest cavity. So I've got the arm here, and I'm wedging it under my armpit, in a way. Well, not quite armpit, but here under my arm. And holding on with that hand. Holding on. So I've got a stick here, which I can use to move and rock. And with the other hand, I can start to do some rocking here on the rib cage. So I've got nice full access here around the side of the ribs, but this hand on the arm with the stick is helping as well, no? So I kind of push pull, push pull, push pull, push pull, push pull, push pull. Yeah, obviously trying to tune in to the rhythm of your receiver, as we always do with our rocking. I could lean a little bit away with that arm to create a bit of traction here. Changing the angles. And then we can also go across the other side with our working hand. Soft, as we're going to be here on the sternum. And it might be quite tense. So I'm pushing away, pushing away, pushing away. and down the chest. Go back to my side as well. Good. And then just letting this arm go for a moment and coming here onto the opposite chest, both hands. If you're working on a woman, you can really come into from the inside of the breast, on top of the breast, but on the inside against the breast tissue. And a man, you can also just be right on top. Soft hands, tuning into the breath as they inhale, give some space. And as they exhale, I'm going to go in and maybe even add a little bit of pumping, trying to push the air out. A little bit of weight here. And on the inhale, you can either just release, and if you know how to do a recoil, you can do a sharp release a couple of times here. Here, grab this arm again, give it a little swing. I'm working here the nest of the shoulder, so also on the lung meridian, point number 1. And I create a circle with the arm and then sink and sink and sink in. So I'm massaging this area a little bit here. Tack, 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 tack. Good, and then this one, I come to kneel with kind of like my back, well, certainly to you, but also to the person in this diagonal. I'm creating a V shape with his upper body and my thigh. And so my hand can come here onto the nest of the shoulder. His arm is resting on my legs here. I pull a little bit towards me for skin credit and then shift my weight on top of that hand. So you see how I'm lifting up my bum to bring my shoulder right on top. And I'm heavy here like this. And then I raise my chest up, my heart up towards the sky. And we breathe here a couple of times. And slowly we release. Good. Something I really like to do, I won't have a little check in the arms, but I just show you as a technique, is to really release the arms quite deeply. So you can do some palming, or you can stand on it with your feet. But something I really like, very effective, is to kneel on the lower arm. So I'm bringing my shin on top of the lower arm here, and then I just go in and sit on it, checking, obviously with their face or maybe even verbally, that they are still okay, because I can be quite strong. Okay. This might also be a little bit of a blood stop. So obviously working with the heart, the cardiovascular system. If they don't have any heart conditions, we can also maybe do a blood stop. And because it is a bit like that, we do release. After a little while, give a little breather. And then maybe adjust a little bit the position and the angle, and we can go a second time. And for me, it's, great, it's a break. I can have a cup of tea. Wipe my sweat. It's hot. Great. So slowly we release that. I just want to show one more move, a little bit more dynamic again. and a nice way to maybe integrate that intensity. I'm coming a little bit more here to the top corner. I've got both my toes tucked under and this knee almost like above his head. And so I can place the elbow and the arm back over my thigh. And then I'm kind of imagining a bit like a sort of rowing action here. I've got this hand around the wrist and I keep turning, twisting and rotating, tack. And then this hand on the elbow supporting. And then the trick is to lean back. So this knee pulls up. And this is a lever. So it's pulling up on the shoulder. So it will look like this. Leaning back. Back, back. And every time I twist here. And circle. With the arm. And then of course here I can be a little bit more focused on the little finger and the heart meridian on the outside of the arm here as well. That's really, so we can do so much more here, but I'm also aware that I always go a little bit too long for this sharing, so let's have a little wiggle of that arm and release that. And then I come round and do the same on the other side, so I'm aware I'm going to turn my back a little bit. That's okay. So I'm coming to kneel by the side of their chest. So my heart is really like in line with their heart. And then this arm is under my armpit, tucked, tuck. And I'm holding it with my, in my case, left hand. I know I'm mirrored on the Facebook, so if I say left, right, it gets very confusing because to you it will look exactly like it's the other hand. And so here with the obvious hand, I'm on the rib cage, beginning to rock, and the hand on the arm that I'm using as a stick, I'm pulling. Push, pull, push, pull, push, pull with every rock. And then in this way we can really work the whole of the side of the ribs here. So also connecting with the diaphragm and going across to the other side. Soft hand here. Up and down the chest here. And coming back to stillness, I'm just going to let go of the arm here for a moment. And then coming up, I come up with my bum so I can work on the opposite side of the chest, both hands with the breath on the exhale. We can sink in slowly. Also pump a little bit if you wanted to. You want to press all of the air out. When the inhale, you give space. So you can go again. Maybe the hands adjust position each time a little bit. If you know how to do a recoil, go for it. And so I'm going to grab the arm here. I'm literally like holding it at the wrist. So I've got an arm can be quite heavy. Got kind of the best grip here, and then we're circling the arm. And with the other hand, I'm going to sink into the nest of the shoulder. Sinking in, sinking in every time the arm comes down. So I go with the circular movement. Try and open that a little bit so it's a bit more visible. Actually, take this knee down, Flo, maybe, then you can see better. And then I come to kneel with my back to my receiver, a little bit in a way, creating this V shape here. This arm just comes to rest over my thighs. The other hand, I come into the nest of the shoulder, lung meridian point number 1. I draw the skin a little bit towards me for skin credit. And then I begin to shift my weight across. For that, I'm lifting my bum up and I bring my shoulder right on top of the hand. And then lift my own chest up as well, my own heart. So I'm really coming from above. Couple of breaths. And slowly releasing that. Give me a chance to breathe. And then a little bit of a release on the arms, so making sure that's got some cushioning. And I will just place my shin on the arm. Sorry for turning my back on you. And then giving the weight down on that. Check in with your receiver, and that's still okay. It's a little smile here, so hoping it's okay. And this might be a little bit like a blood stop, and even if it isn't, it can be really quite strong. So I think it's a nice idea that after a little while we can stay, but then also after a little while release, give a little break. And then find a slightly different position. So I'm just shifting my angle here a little bit. And you can do it more than twice. I'm just doing it twice now. You can do, for a long time, all the different points along the arm. Slowly releasing that. And then I come round to the top corner here and placing the arm over my knee, tuck. Both toes tucked under. Here I'm around the wrist on the outside, here supporting the elbow, leaning back to lift the knee up, which levers the shoulder off the floor, and releasing. Tuck. So my body movement is forwards and back, and my arms are like rowing. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Then that hand that is on the wrist, you can also go more to the little finger, giving a little bit of awareness to the heart meridian. Or really squeezing all along the outside of the arm here. Taking the hand, kind of best friends, thumb around thumb, and giving that a little rock. Okay, and then maybe at this point, as we go to the kind of really quieter place here, you can check in if they want to have a blanket or a cushion under their knees if they're still comfortable. How are you doing? Do you want something under your knees?
Yeah.
And so you might need a little bit of cushioning and propping up yourself for this one. If you're working on somebody where you can easily manage their weight, you can do it yourself. If you know it's quite heavy and you want to get your hand under, so kind of quite far, so that the hand sits behind the heart. And in this case, I'm actually just going to ask them to lift up a little bit and come back down, not so far. So I'm placing my hand just there, which means I've had to drop my elbow right down. Need to make sure that I'm arranged comfortably enough. And something that could help here is also like a cushion under the elbow to prop you up. And then the other hand comes on top of the heart. So this is always the right hand on top, left hand under. And that is because the heart sits right in the center of the chest, just above the diaphragm. But its projection is forwards and towards the left. And so if I place my right hand, I can go into this diagonal with the middle finger going right across to the hip here. And that means I'm really coming on top of that direction of the heart. And let's take a few moments here to connect and say hello, feel the heart. You might be feeling the heartbeat. If you are aware of the way that the blood has moved around the heart, you can picture that and really observe the flow of the fluids here. And if you find that the position with your hand under the heart is just not going to be sustainable for you, I really urge you to take that hand out and just have the top hand, as we're going to be here for a little while. And we're going to connect our attention to the right atrium. So the heart has a number of different chambers. This one sits at the top and the back on the right side. The top and the back on the right. And here in the right atrium, it's the center of self-esteem. And I know right now you can hear me verbally, but you can do this silently, asking, what color do you see here? And you as the giver can tune into color, and the receiver also. And we're asking the question, how are you today? Right atrium. How are you today? And what do you need? This area is about confidence, the way that you see yourself, the role that you play in this life, on this earth, in this lifetime. Your right to belong here. And we're sending healing energy and the energy of grounding into the right atrium. And from here, we move a little bit down and forwards to the right ventricle. The center of relationships. What color do you see here? What color is it, the right ventricle? How are you today? And what do you need? What do you need today? It's about our relationship to the world around us. Love and compassion, the way that we communicate and relate. Our ability to show empathy. We are beings of relation. And we're sending healing energy and the energy of balance to the right ventricle. And we're going back up and to the back again a little bit to the left atrium, center of clarity. What color do you see? How are you today? And what do you need? Our ability to see and perceive the world in truthfulness, the center of truth. It's where our innermost knowing and our ancient wisdom resides. Our intuition. And we send healing energy, the energy of light into the left atrium. And we go forwards and to the front again, to the left ventricle, our center of determination. What color do you see? And how are you today? What do you need? We draw our ability to act, to move from here, to make our decisions, the small ones and the really big ones. From here we bring things into manifestation. It's where the purpose, our purpose, comes from. Our purpose in this lifetime. We send healing energy and the energy of calm to the left ventricle. And so for a moment be aware that you're holding the whole of the heart and all of the being between your hands. With gratitude. You can, if possible, draw the lower hand out without losing the top hand. Maybe bringing the other one on top here for a moment. Letting that settle. Be the mountain, hold the space. And knowing that you're really holding this innermost essence of who we are. So there's a really deep, deep, deep touch here, gone wide inside the heart space here. You want to be really slow and gentle and kind and spacious on your way out again, and this will potentially take a minute or two, or maybe just a few seconds, but just be really mindful as you're slowly moving away from the heart again. At some point, the hand might be able and ready to move away. You might notice how it's actually not so easy to come all the way back out again. And as and when the hand does come off, come back into your own axis. Stay in your own heart. And at the end of every treatment, I would always silently ask for my energy to come back to me. And I give their energy back to them. And any energy that does not belong to either one of us, I ask to leave respectfully. I'll open the window in a moment. And find your own way to give thanks or come back into your own space or whatever your closing ritual might be. And let's offer this beautiful work that is Thai massage to our receivers, so that it's not ours. You can leave your receiver here for a little while, maybe if you get a sense that it might have got a little cool after all, cover them in a blanket. Prepare a glass of water or whatever it is, go and wash your own hands and find your way back into your own space. I hope you enjoyed the practice enjoy the rest of your week, your weekend. I'm going to come a little bit closer just to, you're so far away, to see who might be here. Oh, hello Carol, nice to see you. All the best, take care everyone.